Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to CFL Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans. We're getting into the end game. It is our preview of week 15 out of
16 weeks. Or 21 weeks.
No, 21 weeks. Only 18 games per team, but 21 weeks. It is week 15 of CFL action. It's funny. I hope this comes out great just because me and Rick are trying a new method for recording, which you probably won't notice. Hopefully you don't notice. If you don't notice, that means that it's all working properly. But yeah, let's get going. Our first game of the week is the Toronto Argonauts versus the Montreal Alouettes, the rematch of last week. And how are we feeling about this one, Rick?
Considering that Julian Grant practiced this week, but he's still on the sixth game.
Yep.
I don't think he returns this week. But if he's full practice, you would think that he's going to be coming back.
Do we know where Greg Ellingson is at?
Greg Ellingson is on, I believe, the sixth game.
Oh, my God.
I'm just going to double check.
So we're just not seeing Greg Ellingson this season, really, are we?
I'm going to double check on their page.
So you said Austin Mack got thrown out of last game.
Yes.
Is there any suspension, anything like that with him, or no?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. So now you also said it happened at the beginning of last game, so it might be one of those things where the league's looking at it and be like, okay, well, he was out essentially one game, so the suspension isn't needed.
So I can confirm, according to the Alouettes de Montreal.
Yes.
He is not on the sixth game.
Oh, he's just on the standard IR?
He's just on the standard roster.
Greg Ellingson?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it could have just been like one of those things where he's on like the one game IR.
Just like a one-off thing. No, that's possible.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, overall, how do you feel about the Alouettes' chances going into this game? Because I mean, obviously they played against each other last week. Toronto would win that game 39-10, scoring a good 20 points in the first quarter there for the Argonauts. And then at that point, the Alouettes, they got 7 points in the first quarter, but they got almost nothing for the rest of the game. So it's going to be one of those things where I think if the Alouettes want to have any sort of success, they have to have, they need to have consistency, but not shit consistency, as that's kind of what they had last week. So it's one of those things where the Alouettes are going to need to really produce in more than one quarter to win this game.
So good thing for Montreal, they don't have 10 people on the injured list like they did last week.
That's true.
As far as injuries for Toronto, Robertson Daniels still out with the shattered ankle.
Yep.
Curly Gittins Jr. is out. Well, temporary, did not practice with a hip injury. And Cam Phillips has a groin injury. Other than that, nothing
too major
stands out in Toronto. And for Montreal, the only one, Reggie White Jr. was limited, so I'm sure he's going to be coming back soon. I spoke about Julian Grant, and Stanback did not practice due to a hand injury.
Interesting. But overall, I mean, I think our prediction of this week's matchup between the two is going to be pretty similar to last week. I'm taking the Argonauts in this one. I don't see the Alouettes doing it. The Argonauts have been performing quite well. I can see the Alouettes maybe having a closer game than they did last week. I don't necessarily see them taking the cake, though.
I mean, if Toronto really wants to do us Ticans a solid and beat Montreal again so that we can get that much closer to second place, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you want that home field advantage come playoffs for that semifinal.
I mean,
game.
It's gonna suck because I really don't want to drive all the way to Montreal again. Not that Montreal's far; it's just
compared to Tim Hortons Field.
Well, I mean, I would have to get like tickets that day and then drive back that night because I'm not paying for like one night stay. But I don't know. We'll see how things go come playoffs and what my schedule is like.
No, that's true. That's true. Well, that's a you problem. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Who's winning this game?
Oh, I'm picking Toronto. If Toronto wins, I'm sure they'll take the East Division title once again.
Yep.
Not that I really like to hear that, but I mean,
But if you got, but
they,
the thing is, as a Ticats fan, as much as you probably want to see Toronto lose, you know that Toronto winning does help you in the sense of possibly gaining that home field advantage, come the semifinal in the East.
True.
So that way, you guys will have a playoff game at home besides the Grey Cup itself.
True.
All right, but we're gonna get into the next game of the week, and I think this is gonna be the game of the week. I think this is going to be the most exciting game as we have the Edmonton Elks versus Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, fresh off a getting their ass kicked in Winnipeg, and the Edmonton Elks. And this is like the new rebranded Edmonton Elks. This is like, you know what this is? This is like the Tom Holland Edmonton Elks. It's like Spider-Man is back, but he's different. From the failure, because the Amazing Spider-Man, those movies kind of were shit. Andrew Garfield was good, but the movies were shit. But the Tom Holland kind of brought it back. But this is kind of like the Edmonton Elks were like, the last time you saw us, we fucking sucked. We almost beat you somehow, but we forgot the rules, so we fucked up and lost. However, Trey Ford has been leading the charge there in Edmonton with a win last week. Dean Faithful coming in clutch against the Calgary Stampeders to get that win. And if you're an Elks fan, you want to get this one because you guys were so close to it earlier this year. And now it's within grasp once again. So how are you feeling about this matchup, the Edmonton Elks versus Saskatchewan Roughriders?
So I don't know if you've seen this, but last week, I just want to pull up my calendar to make sure that I got this right. So last week, Mr. Mason Fine had came off the 6th game.
Yep.
So the question now becomes, who starts for Saskatchewan?
Dolagala. No question. Dolagala is starting. Dolagala has done, like, as much as he didn't get maybe the performance you hoped. No offense, Mason Fine. I don't know if Mason Fine has ever had that. The way that Dolagala has at least had sparks of it. And not to say that Mason Fine is incapable of having that. I think he absolutely is. But, it's one of those things where if you're the Riders, Dolagala is being, besides last game where no one was hot, Dolagala is being the hot quarterback that you've been able to quite perform with. So it's one of those things where coming back to a home game against the Edmonton Elks, obviously they stank against the Bombers last week. When they were away, but when they were home at Mosaic the week prior, it was a good game. It was a good game for the Riders. So it's one of those things where you're hoping to bring that back, coming back to Mosaic Stadium. And so it's one of those things where if you're the Saskatchewan Roughriders, I think you avoid making drastic change and like panicking after that loss. Try to shake that off, get back to business, and if that doesn't work, at that point maybe consider it. But I don't think the Riders are there yet. I think Dolagala is the clear-cut starter here for Saskatchewan against Trey Ford. And it's going to be one of those things where with Edmonton, they're really trying to finally utilize that offense, that offensive talent that they have in that roster that they just haven't been able to get the most out of. They're finally starting to get some stuff out of it. So I think if you're the Edmonton Elks, you're really hoping to kind of piggyback off of that success that you've had, using your guys like Eugene Lewis as a top level talent. Make sure you use him. Dunbar Jr., one of your top receivers. Make sure you use him. Mitchell had a good game last game. So it's going to be one of those things. He got a touchdown, actually. If you're the Edmonton Elks, you're looking to really utilize those weapons that you have. Brown ran for 143 yards last game. Use the running game. Use the throwing game. Push the offense. So if I'm Edmonton, that's what I'm looking to do. So
here's my theory on this whole thing is, why did Saskatchewan sign Jake Wieneke if they're not going to use him?
I'm not sure. To be honest. I can't really give you a good answer.
Like, I understand, like, Shaker Baker's back and all that, but, like, if like his talent's just being wasted.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can see that. So,
But I'm picking
who are you
the
picking?
Elks.
I'm picking the Elks as well. I don't know. I think with the Elks kind of being on the hot seat a little bit, and I'm a little bit excited for what Edmonton's got cooking. Not necessarily Chris Jones, but the Edmonton Elks as a whole. But he is part of the team technically. So I'm excited for what Trey Ford's cooking. I think they're going to be coming back, and they're looking to not lose by that little bit, and to really to shine a lot brighter than they did prior.
So,
But I think the Riders will put up a fight.
I have a question before we move on from this game. Do we know if Calgary and Edmonton play any more games against each other?
Let me check. I can literally just swipe through
if Edmonton wins, that means them and Calgary are tied in the standings.
Meaning
So
the Elks can make the playoffs.
That means that the Elks are only 2 points or 4 points.
They do not play against each other for the rest of the season.
Okay, so I'm curious to find out. I'll have to look it up to see who actually has the tiebreaker.
I'm pretty sure Calgary does. Pretty sure Calgary has the tiebreaker. I could be wrong because I think they played once earlier this year where they beat the Elks, and then I think because then the Elks lost again, and then they won just this last game. So I think the Stampeders have the tiebreaker here, but it's one of those things where the Elks are a bit on the upswing. So who knows? I'd be excited if the Elks somehow made the playoffs, just for the shitstorm that would cause, especially after an abysmal start to the season. But overall, I'm taking the Elks. You're taking the Elks. Let's make it into our next game where me and Rick are at heads. It is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Tim Hortons feed.
The battle of the CFL Central commentators.
Yes, the battle of the CFL Central.
I was going to say the content creators, but we both do videos, so it can't really be content creators.
Exactly. No, it's yeah, so I mean, obviously I'm excited for my Bombers going into this game because there are no excuses. Holy shit. When everyone is motivated, this Bomber team is fucking awesome. No excuses. The Ticats, the Ticats, they're finally starting to perform, and so we can't let them get their footing. And so if the Ticats, they're looking to get this win here, as you know, they're only 5-7, looking to catch the Alouettes, who are 6-6, probably going to be 6-7. If the Ticats get a win here, they should tie the Alouettes. I don't know what the season tiebreaker is between you guys and Montreal.
They have the tiebreaker.
They have the tiebreaker? Okay. Well, it's one of those things where it would at least get you closer, get you guys even on the points side of things. When it comes to the Bombers, I want the West Final. I want it. So it's one of those things where, as a Bomber fan, this is a very important game for us. Like, as far as I'm concerned, until we get that West Final clinched in Winnipeg, job's not finished.
It never happened.
Job's not finished. But we shall have to see how are you? What is the injury report?
Okay, so you guys did not practice at all today.
I see.
So there's nothing on the Bombers. Butler's limited, but he will play. He has a head injury. I don't believe that because knowing with Oliveira, he's limited, but he still plays. So I don't believe 1 second that he's not going to play.
No, that's fair. Oliveira literally is limited like half of the practices. However, he still has like 1,100 rushing yards.
The thing that I am very nervous about is Richard Leonard. I don't know if you watched our game last week.
No, I did not.
When Richard Leonard went to go tackle the person, he went head first, and he got pulled from the game. So if he does not play this week, I'm nervous for our defensive backs because you have Lawrence Williams on one side, you have Mr. I don't know what the heck I'm doing, George Jr. on the other side, even though he's a rookie. He does play well some games. He plays horrible some games. Don't know what's going to go on with that. But it will be interesting to see if we can revenge week 1 against you guys or if it's going to go down in the toilets. It also depends on what Caleros we get, what Bombers team we get, if you guys show up for a full game or not.
Yeah, we'll probably show up for about half, being real here. But, you
guys, Caleros is probably going to be like, hey, we got
the Well, you know what you guys should be worried about? Because the thing is that the Bombers are most likely going to be showing up for half a game because they always do, except for last game. They didn't show up for half a game last game. Someone tried to say they did, but they gave up no points in the half that they apparently didn't show up for, so I don't know what the fuck that was about. However, it's one of those things where you know who's going to be playing a full 60? Because there's always someone who plays the full 60. You know who that is?
Jefferson?
Nope. Brady Oliveira.
Oh. Well.
Brady Oliveira and Sergio Castillo always play the full 60. And that's the thing. If I'm the Ticats, I'm thinking gotta stop the run. Gotta stop the run. Obviously, when it comes to your corners, you get what you get. But when it comes to the run, that is much more of a collective effort rather than isolated one-on-one plays with those receivers. So neutralizing the offense of the Bombers I have to imagine, is the key job of the Hamilton Tiger Cats going into this week.
Where was it? Because I'm curious to see when we beat the BC Lions.
Yep.
I'm just pulling up the numbers here. I'm curious to see what they had. Yeah, so Mizell had 49 yards. So, I mean, if we can somehow pull a rabbit out of the hat and somehow have that same defensive line aspects against BC Lions.
Yep.
And stop the run, I'm sure we can have a victory. The question is, which Bomber wide receiver is going to step up for this game?
My hope is that
it was shown last week. It was Dembski the week before.
My hope is that it is country music legend himself, Drew Wolotarski, baby.
That's funny because I said that before you. I'm like, who's going to be
It's Wally. It's Wally. Call Pixar. It's Wally.
The only difference between this game and last game is we do not have Bo Levi Mitchell throwing 4 interceptions.
You might have someone
2
else.
interceptions, my bad.
You might have someone else throwing 2 interceptions. DeMario Houston's still playing. Don't forget about him. Don't sleep on him. It is what it is.
Plan on sleeping on him.
But at the end of the day, I got to take my Bombers.
You know where I'm going with my pick.
Oh, you got to take your Ticats.
Yep.
It was bound to happen. But we got one more game this week. We have the Ottawa Redblacks visiting the BC Lions. If BC ever had a chance to get out of their slump, oh boy, was this the chance. If you're BC, this team has been skidding. Not in the good direction. It's one of those things where you're back at home and you're playing the fucking Redblacks. This should be an easy win for BC. I'm saying it should be an easy win, fully recognizing that my Bombers have lost to this Dustin Crum team. But it's the Ottawa Redblacks have been skidding. The BC Lions have been skidding. And it's one of those things where the Lions have played a bit better at home. And the Redblacks, they're not playing up. They're not. Not playing against the team with momentum. They're playing against the team who has been skidding the same way that the Lions have. So if you're the BC Lions, this is where you settle it the fuck down and you get it going and you get yourself the win.
So looking at this, Jalen Edwards Cooper.
Yep.
Is back off the 6 game. So they have him back. I honestly think everything went downhill for BC
Yep.
when they lost to us.
Oh, no, totally. But it's going to be one of those things where, like, last game, BC, we get the last game they played, so 2 weeks ago. They got the win against Montreal. I think it was like 35 to no, it was 34-25, something like that. And
Yes, it
so,
was.
like, if I'm looking back at that game, Vernon Adams Jr. threw 21 for 33. I mean, as much as he got 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, ideally you want to have a little bit higher of a percentage than that. Because, I mean, that if you're looking at that, that's not even that, like, that's barely above 60%. So if you're the BC Lions, you're looking for a bit more completions from Vernon Adams Jr.
So here's my, because depending on how you look at it, standings wise, Ottawa's done. Like, Ottawa's not in
Yep.
the playoffs. I don't care how you look at it. Also, the offense of this team, they don't have the worst offense. They have like the 4th worst offense. No one, you know what? I'm curious to see. I don't know if this will tell me. Oh, this only goes by. Okay, this doesn't go by what I wanted it to. But the Addison, since he's came back, he hasn't been the same.
Yep.
Nate Bahar, I don't think Nate Bahar has really done. Actually, you know what? Let's pull this up here because I'm actually curious. Team Ottawa. So, when you have Ackland leading the team with 602 receiving yards.
Yep.
Hardy with 576, and then it drops off to 312 with Bahar.
Yep.
I mean, Shaq Evans has played 6 games. Like, I mean, the receivers are not there. I don't know if it's because of Crum, but nothing screams scary from this offense since Crum had his 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever the heck it was, of the overhypeness.
Yep. Where he was the golden boy, and they rolled with him, and I mean, as they should have. But it's one of those things where if you're the BC Lions, I think you're looking back to really solidifying that second place slot. I think for the most part the BC Lions have it, but just kind of sticking the nail in the coffin there. So overall, I'm taking the BC Lions here against the Ottawa Red Blacks. And yourself?
I'm definitely going with BC because I don't want Ottawa anywhere near our team. even though we have swept them 3-0, and we have the tiebreaker.
Yep.
I still don't care. Not. I don't want them anywhere near us in the standings.
Fair enough. So overall, is there anything else that you got for this week of football?
Nope.
No. Well, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you have not already. Make sure you guys comment down below what you guys think about this upcoming week of football, and we will catch you guys next time.